Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh lil ikhwan ikhwati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba huda lil ikhwan ikhwati fi Africa, Europa, America, Caribbean, wa kulli makan. To my full-bay community, Anjarama as-salam. Jautalia bandoroga am dadude. Bilad es Jem, Allah, Ya'afu, and my dear brothers and sisters, this is short notice, Juma on top of that. And I wanted to tackle this subject about Captain Traore of Burkina Faso and the response. We have a two response to him, one Islamically and one from the Futafula community. And I think it's important that we kind of have a better understanding what our position should be as Fulani people, everywhere you may be. And I wanted to touch that issue because we've had some debates, I know on Facebook. We have brothers who have heard reports and have told other brothers who are in the media that they should go and denounce Captain Traore of Burkina Faso. Then we had some of our brothers in the Futafula community said, no, we don't have the proof yet to condemn this man, and so forth and so on. So that's kind of like where we at. We have two arenas among the Futafula people. One is we should condemn this man. The other says, no, we do not have enough evidence to condemn him. And that's one reason why I want to talk about that. Because we have to understand in the corridor region is basically, I would say, like Eastern Mauritania. If you look at a map, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, that's the Western corridor. This area is hot, very, very hot, with a lot of activity in it. And it always have been for at least 1,000 years. It's been hot. One Islamic sultanate or emirate after another, okay, just on until the 1900s, and of course, it was stopped. So we've always had, since Islam has taken place, we just generally had this region as a hotbed of activity, and now in modern times it's no different. And me as a Fulani person, Fula person, me Pulo, I have to take special interest because we do have something, and I want to bring up some points about Captain Traore and so forth and so on that you might not have got or understand, and what our position should be about that. So I'm encouraging anyone to make their input who comes in the chat, and of course give your greetings, and those who come in the future. If you have questions or you have comments, please write me, but be respectful. If you disagree, I'm always entertaining. Please back up your play. There's no problem with that. We're African people, and we're not one mind. We all have our own likes and dislikes, and so forth and so on. And we all have our own minds. So with that said, but you notice I'm going to be respectful towards you. So let's get started on this. The Fulani are in a difficult situation, brothers and sisters, because in the corridor region, we are being slaughtered. And I don't care what these reports are not mentioning. We have enough evidence, especially in Burkina Faso, what we're talking about right now. We show that there has been some slaughtering, some on major scale and others on minor scale, 25, 50 or so forth and so on, have been killed. We've had this dilemma going on for a number of years now. And as usual, there's been a rap that's been put on the Futafula community in Burkina Faso. And it's similar to that of way the Western Tuba governments have done with Muslims. If a Muslim does something in California all the Muslims around the world are basically linked to that particular crime. If a Muslim in Paris, France, robs somebody and he shoots and kills them, everybody in France and outside of France who's Muslim is condemned for this activity. In Burkina Faso, we have to admit we have evidence to suggest this, that this is what is happening with our brothers and sisters there in Burkina Faso. When a few young men do something wrong, then there's retaliation, there's mass retaliation on all the Fulani. I don't care if that person is 7 years old. What a 7-year-old has to do with a grown man who's 30 years old and he kills somebody from the Mosi tribe and so forth? Why would they go and kill this little girl who's 7 years old? She has nothing to do with this. But this is the situation we have, and so forth and so on. Okay, we have one guest here. Well, alaikum salam, my dear brother. Thank you very much for showing up. Thank you dearly, and I appreciate that. And I hope more brothers come to show up. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you for showing up today. And so, as we look at this, I'm trying to get something together here, my dear brothers and sisters. Okay, here we go. So we look at this from the standpoint, and I'm talking about the Fulani people, because they are disaffected. This is not about the Hausa. This is not about the Tiv or the Chumba people or any other people in Nigeria or some other people, other ethnic groups. It's not about them, because because the Hausa are not being slaughtered in the Western Corridor region. It's the Fulani people. The Fulani are being slaughtered, and the Fulani are killing in retaliation. So we've had this, and it's going on and off. So I'm going to give this aspect talking about this, because there's an interesting point, and I'm going to let you decide on what you think about this man. Now, the Fulani, since 2015, have been on an active campaign of conflicts with the Moisi people. Now, this is going to be important, brothers and sisters. Why? Because Captain Traore is among those people. This is his clan. This clan is responsible, more or less, and those in the Tuareg and the Afro-Arabs, not in unison. The Moisi people are not in unison with the Tuareg or the Afro-Arabs. They're on their own over here, but they've had running conflicts with the Fulani people. So now, when you look at this situation, brothers and sisters, you start to get a picture now. You heard reports here 2 months ago or so about mass slaughtering of Fulani Futafula in these villages. The State Department reported it. There's Human Watch reported it. There's a whole slew of people reporting this. And so we do have some reports, but we don't have the corroboration where we have some who were slaughtered or given us statements, even though some of these watch groups and international groups say they have video, which they showed a video, which was quickly denied by the Burkina Faso government. But we have that, but we don't have people who've escaped and given eye testimony saying this happened to the Futafula in these particular areas. We don't have that evidence. But what is important here, brothers and sisters, is the part here about the Captain Traore, and he is Moisi. Now, here's the interesting thought about this. When he was questioned about this latest slaughter of the Futafula people, he said it was not true that they were trying to destroy him, but he didn't. He said it in such a way it left some you kind of think, well, what's happening? Because it was a kind of denial, like, I'm not sure, but this video is not correct. The video is not correct, or was the slaughtering the Futafula people? That's why he was very uncomfortable when he gave the statement about this. A campaign of killings between our brothers among the herders and the Moisi farmers have been going on. This conflict led to an active, aggressive jihad among our Fulani brethren. When the farmers, the Moisi people, began to retaliate and fight against the Fulani herdsmen, the Fulani began to call out for other herdsmen to come in this region to combat the Moisi people. And so this is where has escalated. And then the military is made up, especially in this region, of Moisi people on top of that. And then the government allowed for the Moisi people to even develop militias, who they said was in self-defense. But we also have self-defense because the Fulani also have two sorts of militias. They have those who are Futafula, who, Futatoro, if you may, who are city dweller. They're not basically herders per se. Some may have herds, some may have farms, but they're kind of like in villages and cities. Then you have that. Then you have just a homegrown herder. See, so you have both of those individuals. And they form their militias to fight against the militias of the Moisi and the military. See, this, again, anytime you're talking about the Sahel, you're talking about a mess. You always talk about genocide. You always talk about retaliation and killings. So we have two sides, two ethnic groups that have their own militias. But the Moisi people have an advantage because they have the military behind them. The Futafula and the Fulani herdsmen, they don't have that aspect. But the Fulani people have the Messina, who is next door to them, who has offered assistance and have joined in this jihad, which I'll get into, against the Moisi people and against the military and the militias. And we got, okay, here we go. We got brother said something here. He said, Traore is off the Mandinka tribe. Well, see, I heard that point too. I'm going by what I saw his relative said in an interview when he was talking about an issue about the Fulani people in one African report I saw on TV, and he was talking about his people, the Moisi people. This is what I went by. I heard the same thing, that he was Mandinka. I heard the same thing. So because I look at him, I knew he wasn't Fulani. I said, okay, I thought in my mind too, he's Mandinka, but I said, no, he's not Mandinka. He looked like something else. But then when I saw one of his relatives who was talking about his homeland, and he was talking about the Moisi people, then I said, okay, now we know what he is. But at the time, I still didn't link the two together. See, so a good question. And that is something I heard the same thing, my dear brother, that you heard. No doubt about that. True, I heard that. Now, the conflicts, again, has arisen between the two groups. And it's been exacerbated because why? Because the jihad that has grown with the Futafula people is branched out. We have some stuff that's happened. The jihad grew from the ruthless killings of Fulani herdsmen and Futafula in villages. And you know our people. You know the Fulani people. When you start to massacre our folks, we'll start calling for the herders and everybody to come wherever you may be to join their brothers in aid, who are now in dire need of protection. In this regard, the Messina also heard this and began to offer their protection and join in a jihad against the militia, the military, and against the Moisi people. See, so the Fulani formed militias to combat these roving Moisi-led militias and military. Now, again, you have those of the Futafula who are not Mujahideen, but they have their own militias, and their militias only designed to keep the peace of their community together. They're not offering jihad. They're not backing the Messina. They're not backing any of the groups. They're just protecting their own. Then you have the others who have now joined with the Messina and formed other retaliatory militias, see, to fight back. And again, we always know the situation in the Sahel with the Fulani. When they kill us, it's not terrorism. When they massacre us, it is not terrorism. When they kill our women and children, it's not terrorism. But when we retaliate, when you come to our villages and you kill our people, and then we come to go after you, Moise or Tiv or whoever the situation may be, wherever it's at, we come back to go fight you for what you have done to us, then it's considered terrorism. See, so we have this kind of problem. See, so again, you know, I'm not defending, I'm not because I don't live there. I'm not there. And we have a lot of reports, but I'm just talking about human nature. And I'll get to the Islamic part of this as we go here, inshallah ta'ala. What's interesting about this, brothers and sisters, in Burkina Faso, the Messina, have you heard me, you know, speaking of that, brothers and sisters, please look at many of my short videos. I've been going through a history lesson about the Futafula people. And I've been giving you short videos of pictures of, you know, kings, queens, the Fulani people from different eras and current and so forth and so on. I got about 5 or 6, maybe more than that now. Please go and review those videos. They're very short. They got Islamic things behind it where I use the Quran and so forth and so on. Please look, please review those videos, and please subscribe as well. A call of jihad was announced by the Messina, and this is what is significant. This call of jihad by the Fulani, by the Messina. Now, you know, you heard me talk, those follow me many times about the Messina in the 1400s, the great, powerful Fulani Sultanate. And I have 2 videos, I think, of talking about the Messina, which as one is my favorite, basically sultanate of all of the Fulani sultanates that occurred from 711 to 1900s. The Messina is my favorite. I studied them in and out. I became acquainted with every sultan, every emir. And in some of my short videos, you see I named some of them and I gave pictures of who they were and so forth and so on. But this jihad was called, and this jihad began in earnest. And when the jihad was called, they began to gather arms and they began to fight and kill Moise people in retaliation for what they had done, and some militias. But some of our herders, out of desperation, could not wait for the Messina or anyone else because they were living in the outskirts. But then when the rogue ISIS came, then they joined with them. Now we have a small percentage. They did it not out of love for ISIS. They did it only in protection. That's why they went and joined, because they had nobody there. The Messina has not reached them yet. The jihad and the militias, they had not reached them yet. Here you had IS in front of them. They said, look, come with us. We will protect you and your villages from the militia and the military and the Moise clan. So they said, okay, if we stay here, we're going to die. So they joined the IS. See? And so we have that element. This element, brothers and sisters, which has led to mass murder by the government. The government said no, but we have confirmation of 2000. We have confirmation 2022, 2023, 2024. We've had mass killings of Fulani. Some 25, some 50, some over 100. As a matter of fact, I did a program on this about a year ago, talking about this slaughtering of the Futafula in Burkina Faso. And I've talked to other issues about the corridor, or what I believe is going to happen in the future. Bi'ifnillah, the Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grants this. So this issue right here, where the herders joined the infamous ISIS and so forth and so on, in order to be protected from the Moise clans and from the militia. So we have that element, brothers and sisters. As you heard me say, from 2022 to the present, there's been systematic and ruthless killings of Fulani herders and Fulani communities. You heard me say this. This is important in Burkina Faso. The president Captain Traore, he cannot deny this. He knows it's true. They've had systematic killings of Fulani. And the latest, again, is reports of March. We've saw the videos. We now have many Tubab organizations and affiliated human rights groups claim that they have evidence that this Futafolo killed in mass killings in March of this year. But we have not had any of our brethren and sisters come out from who survived to give interviews. This is what is troubling about this. We do know that we have Futafolo have left the area where this alleged massacre occurred and went into Niger. What I read, he went into Niger, but no one has seemed to have got the interviews of these families who left, who can give eyewitness testimony that their villages were taken out by these militias and the military. So we don't have that evidence. And again, Captain Traore, he denied it. He said, no, this video is false. He didn't say the killings didn't happen. This is what is troubling. But you got to understand something, brothers and sisters, as you know, as Africans, especially knowing in the Sahel region and West Africa in particular, we ain't talking about South Africa or East Africa. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about West Africa because this is my homeland. See, and we know that there's always some conflict with the Fulani people. This has been going on since 7/11. Brothers and sisters, you know, anyone who follows Fulani history know we've had conflicts after conflicts from 7/11 to the 1900s. We'll run a sultanate, we get defeated, we'll come back and open an emirate, and then we'll run it for a while, and then another group come take over. The Mandinka would have something going on, the Songhai people or the Mende people or the Bambara, they would have their thing. So we always had back and forth across the Sahel and West Africa. We've had this turmoil. But what was troubling about this is that Captain Traore did not say it didn't happen. This is what is puzzling. He said, no, the video is false. He didn't say, no, we didn't kill them. He didn't say that. So as I start to dig more, I said, look, and our brother made this point about Mendinka. I thought he was Mendinka, but this day I saw him on TV and said, no, he's not Mendinka. He doesn't look, I can't explain. I don't know how to explain it. You know, sometimes we have a look. You know, when you see somebody, you say, hey, man, definitely this guy's Fulani. And sometimes you can look, no, man, this guy's Hausa. There's no doubt he's Yoruba, okay? You know, you look at, no, this guy over here is Senike, man. You know that. You know he's Wolof or Jollof. Sometimes people have certain looks about them, you know. African people, we know this. We can look at somebody sometimes and say, hey, man, there's no doubt that, yeah, he's Fulani. Or there's no doubt, yeah, he's Mandinka. Okay? When I looked at Captain Traore, I said, no, he's not Mandinka. No, he's not Mende either. I said to myself, and I know he's not Fulani. He doesn't have the look of Fulani. And then I found out he's Moisi. That's interesting. Now you see the connection, brothers and sisters. He's Moisi. His loyalty, his to his country. Yes, I'm not saying that. But he's still Moisi, and the Moisi people are in conflict with the Fulani. See, so, you know, we have to look at that. The Moisi are predominantly ancestral worshipers. This is also the conflict. The Futafolo and the Fulani herdsmen are primarily Muslims. Okay? The Moisi people are primarily ancestral worshipers, animists, traditional African religions, and so forth. And then they have a minority of them who are Muslim and Christians. Okay, a small percentage. Captain Traore is said to be Muslim. I'll get into this in a bit, inshallah, here. We got maybe another question here. Okay. The Traore people are the Taro chief of the people related to Bambara. I don't know if they're related to Bambara, my brother. I read when his relative had made a comment about the Moise people, that's what they belong to. I didn't do. I read about who they were affiliated with, but what I was wondering is I thought he was Mandinka. But then when I start, as you heard me say, when I started looking at him, I said, no, he's not Mandinka. He's not Mende either. He's not Fulani as well. We know he's not Tuareg, and we know he's not Afro-Arab either. See, so you could be right. I do not know, but I don't believe that. I believe I read that, but I can't recall. Maybe you can do some more research and get that, because I'm not sure, my dear brother, if this is the case or not. Okay. Now, in the Sahel region, we always had conflicts with the Christians and the animists and so forth and so on. This has been going on since 7/11. All right. We have peaceful times, maybe even one era is peaceful. And then flare-ups will happen because of Islam and because of their beliefs. Okay. So we know this. And it's going to be a natural conflict. And again, brothers and sisters, this is what is puzzling to me. And I'll get into this a bit too. What is puzzling to me is this. And if those follow me in Facebook as well, I've talked about this issue. Why don't they go back and look at how the Messina, in particular, handled this problem between the herders and the farmers? It was going on even in the 1400s. But they found a system that worked beautifully. This system stayed intact. Okay, even though there was regime changes, but this system stayed intact, and then it was dismantled by the colonials. And then we had turncoat, Fulani and other government officials who dismantled this. And from that point on, we've had conflict between the herders and the farmers everywhere in the Sahel. But if you go back, we had this. Even President Nkrumah, the late President Nkrumah of Ghana, who was not Fulani, but he used the system of the Messina. Okay, he used the system of Messina as a vehicle to help the conflict between the farmers and the herders. See, so we know this is the case. But why don't they use the same system? They don't. They let the people to fester and so forth and so on, and they have conflict. And this is what I don't like. But as a Muslim, they should have found something to help this situation, which they have not. And our ulama and fuqaha are always quiet. I pulled up, I don't even want to name up the group. We have a West African ulama fuqaha, a group. You don't see nothing about this issue. They're very quiet. Now, the Islamic issues on this, brothers and sisters, this is important. Captain Traore said that he's Muslim. Or I should say, I never heard him say he was Muslim. His report said he was Muslim. The first time I saw him speak was when President Putin of Russia called all the African leaders over. If you guys remember that, about almost 2 years ago now, or a year ago, I can't remember. It's how fast time's flying by. Captain Traore was there. I saw his speech. And as with the other so-called Muslim leaders there, nobody praised Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Captain Traore, when he gave his speech, who he praised first was Che Guevara. Remember the revolutionary that was in Central America. Remember him? And he was finally he was assassinated. He was killed, so forth and so on. Remember him? That's who he quoted. He did not say Bismillah Rahman Rahim. He didn't say nothing about Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't say anything like that. He quoted a communist, a kafir, and he used that as his vehicle of his speech, which is very disappointing to me. Then there's other reports that says that he's an animist. We know his people are not generally Muslims. They're only a small percentage of them are Muslims and Christians. Most of them are animists and we call grave worshipers, where they worship the ancestors. Others said that he's leaning towards Christianity. There was another report of a man, I tried to get this tape, where he was praising Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. We know him in Islam. And Christians, you call him Jesus alayhi salatu wasalam, and also Jesu is also another name for that. He was praising him, and that he's leaning towards Christianity. He had already left Islam. Now, this is one report. I never can confirm that. They said it was a film or a video that saw him basically, I'm not saying apostating out, but he was basically saying he's moving towards Christianity. If he says that, he's basically apostated. Okay. We call this ridda and deen in Arabic language under the Sharia law. We call this ridda and deen. He made this because he said, I'm leaning to go towards Christianity. You can't go back. You know, anybody knows anything about Islam and you know about the Quran, subhanahu wa ta'ala, even a passage in Surah Nisa talking about this issue of going back and forth. He said, you're a true kafir. I won't get into that because that's the Islamic subject. But anyway, you know that you can't. You can't be floating to be Hebrew one day and then come back next day and say, okay, I'm more or less going towards Islam again. And then you come back on Friday and say, well, you know what? I'm floating more to be Christianity. You can't be going back and forth. You're a kafir. According to the Islamic tenets, you may ridda and deen. You can't take some of Islam and then discard the other. So that's just a quick talk about that. But others say that. Now, our Fulani brothers have been weighing in on this subject. And one I didn't write. He wrote something that was very interesting because he lives in Burkina Faso. He said that the Fulani brothers have been trying to figure him out. And this is what they have said here. They never saw him at any of the masajids, even before he even became the president of Burkina Faso. He was never at any of the masjids. Now, you know this report that came down from Saudi Arabia, the prince of Saudi Arabia. I won't mention his name. We won't get into his what he's doing, but he offered help to build masjids inside the Burkina Faso. He had reports because many of the masjids inside Burkina Faso are crumbling, or there's none, or they're in such bad condition. He offered to build them across the country. Captain Traore, I saw in an interview, he did say he acknowledged that, but he said, we don't need the masjids. He said, we need educational, we need schools and so forth and so on. That, to me, triggered a aspect because nobody goes and say, I'm not going to be, you offer me to build in my country. The Saudis come and say, hey, man, we want to build 150. Nobody here in Morocco will say no to that. Because the more meshes we have, the more it makes ease on the people. Because like some of us live like a kilometer away from the masjids, some live closer, some live in between that. We have older Muslims who can't journey. They don't have cars or means to travel and so forth and so on. They need masjids close by. And it is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And through Africa in history, we always had proximity of the communities. We have many masjids taken in regard for women, children, and older people and sickly people so they can come to the masjid. They will not go to the masjid when the masjids are too far away. That triggered something in my mind when the Saudi prince said, we come in here to build these masjids. He could have said to the Saudi prince, thank you very much. We want that. Because I saw some of the masjids that they have. And I saw where some of the people were talking about the masjids was in bad shape. He's spending money to rejuvenate the country, but he's not rejuvenating the masjids. That's another thing that to make me trigger in my mind that something's wrong with his Islam. He could have told the prince, look, you build me 150 or 400 or 1,000 masjids, but can you build me some schools? Why he didn't say that? He didn't. He said, we don't need the masjids. Because he said people can go anywhere. That triggered something in my heart, brothers and sisters, to say, wait a minute, man. You got a Muslim brother here. He's your brother. He's saying he's coming here to build this free. And you're going to tell him no? That, you know what I mean? It bothered me when I saw that. Okay, we have our brother here. Oh, walaikum salam, brother. Thank you very much for showing up, my dear brother. Thank you, Anjurama, my dear brother. Okay, now let's ponder that, brothers and sisters. Our Fulani brothers who wrote said that he was never seen at the masjids, nor have they heard anything about his prayer habits. Many of our brothers report that he is a Muslim, but he left it. Now, this is other reports. Now, Islamically, let me put on the other hat. As a Muslim, you cannot make takfir against him. Why? We don't have proof of his prayer habits. We don't have proof that he has made comments against Islam. He has not done that. He hasn't made comments for Islam either, but he has not made comments against Islam. So we don't have the evidence. So we can't make takfir against him. And ulama and fuqaha are very quiet about him as well. So as Muslims, the Fulani people and anybody who's Muslim, you must weigh that issue and not make takfir, meaning expediation, against him because of all these reports. He's not talked against Islam. I tried to find this video where he was talking about the Christianity. He's leaning towards that. Now, that is something we can use. I'm trying to remember what Haya in the Quran in the Surah Nisa is 154. I'm trying to remember what I can't remember the Haya in Nisa where Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the person who goes from left to right. He's in Islam and he comes out of Islam. He accepts some parts of Islam and he disregards all this type. I can't remember these hayats in the Quran. I can't remember, but Subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear you cannot do this. If you heard me talk right now and I start telling you I'm moving towards to be Hebrew, that's Ridda. Okay, Ridda and Deen, and the Sharia Allah in Arabic meaning you made apostasy from the religion. This is what reports said. He said this. Then we had other brothers said that he's animist, and he follows the tradition of his clan, which is the mostly people who are not Muslims. Only small percentage of them are. So, but without all the direct evidence, the bayina, as we call this in Arabic, or the hujjah, okay, we just don't have that. So we can't make takfir against him. So stay away from that, from making takfir against him. But we can get him for his actions against the Fulani people. See, that's something we can go after him about. And they are doing wholesale, for what the reports we have. We know 2020, 22, 23, 24, we know there was wholesale killing. We have proof of that. We have eyewitness accounts who gave testimony in 2024 as well, who gave testimony to the fact of their being slaughtered and being attacked. We had that. But the incident in 225 in March, we don't have that particular information. We don't have that. Okay, here. Okay, I think it's the same one thing. Thank you, my dear brother from Somalia. Thank you very much, my dear brother. Yes, in ancient times, we knew this area as Ta-Seti, Ta-Nahashi, and Ka-Shah. That's what we used to call this region in the east. If you heard my classes talking about the East Africa, the region, that corridor there of Egypt, Sudan, and Somaliland, Eritrea, and so forth, Djibouti, all this area right there. We know this in ancient times as Ta-Seti and Ta-Nahashi, and also Ka-Shah. So those are beautiful names, isn't that? Beautiful names. And speaking of this, maybe off topic a little bit, but I'm going to always promote our things. I'm going to always promote that. Brothers and sisters, we have beautiful names. We have for children, families, clans, and so forth in countries, right? Well, we don't use that. Have you noticed that about us? See, we don't use that. We use the modern languages, modern, vernacular for our countries. Tell me a name that's more beautiful than Taseti or Ta-Nehesi. Please, Kasha. Those are beautiful names our ancestors called all that region. Taseti is beautiful. Ta-Nehesi is beautiful. Those are beautiful words. Kasha, Kasha. Beautiful. That's just a little small tangent, but I always like to talk about that because I'm in the promotion of going back to renaming our lands. We know that the Tubab has reconstructed this. We know that. Okay. We know they have restructured this, but I still like to use that. And our brother here, okay, we see, he says, we have to be careful. We don't play into the hands of the Western imperial who are looting African wealth while fighting each other because of tribe, Fulani. Yes, we always of that. But my dear brother, we have to call out something. In this Sahel region, the Savannah region in particular, we've had mass killings of the Fulani people. There's no doubt about that. And they were kept quiet. And then finally, we had our Fulani people begin to escape. Then this is what we know as, has happened. So we're talking about this issue. We're talking about what we should do with the Fulani people as Muslims about Captain Traore. We should talk about that issue. But today we're not trying to make a declaration of, okay, well, the Hausa is over here, the Tiv is over here, the Capelli is over here, the Jollof and Wolof is over here. No, that's not about that today. Here we're talking about some issue about Burkina Faso because it's in the Western Corridor region. And there's been a series of killings, mass killings of Fulani people that should be talked about. And the Fulani are killing as well. They retaliate and killing the Moisi people in this particular instance as well. And they have their militias and they have Mujahideen who are killing Christians and animists and so forth and so on in the corridor region. And then in the mix is the famous or infamous group called the Messina, who they took after our ancestors, the Messina Sultanate. You heard me talk about 1,000 times. I did a short video on the Messina. I did a long video on the Messina because this is my favorite of all the sultanates. They took this name. See, so this is why I talk about that. So please don't misunderstand me, my dear brother. We're not talking about ethnic divisions. We're talking about the situation. We're talking about Captain Traore. We're talking about the Islamic part of this. We're talking about the full of people and what has happened and how we should approach that. And I want to make sure we have that understanding. The Fulani should never support or condemn this man. Now, this is why I made something because I was so hot one time. I got on Facebook, I saw the report and I saw the Tubab reports and so forth and so on from reputable agencies talking about the slaughter. I wrote something, and a matter of fact, in Fulfulde about this issue. Those who follow me on Facebook, you can pull this up where I made this comment about we should not follow this man. We should not praise him. I said that because he's killing our folks. We know that that from 2022 to 2024, we have a proof of killings of our people. See, but at this point, I'm giving advice as an elder and as a Muslim also, okay, that we should not follow him or support him. We should be in between and let things go until we get the evidence. Because I don't want to go support this man when I find out that he's now a Christian. He left the religion. I don't want to support this man, but we've learned that he's a traditionalist among the Moisi people, which he belongs to, and he's animist. We have reports that said he is animist. We don't have the evidence yet. So the Fulani should neither support or condemn this man. We should not get on TV or anywhere else and condemn him or support him. We should stay out of it. Make any explanation. We cannot. Don't make takfir against him saying he's not a Muslim because you heard he didn't pray over here, or you heard he only prays one time per day, or you heard he doesn't pray at all. you can't go by that unless you know you have eyewitness, you have somebody who can attest to this. We have Fulani brothers on the ground in Burkina Faso have started to dig up evidence saying we, even before he became president, they never saw him at the masjids. And the Fulani people, because of reciprocity, we talk. So where he was at, Muslims, I mean, our Fulani brothers asked the brother in some region and said, hey, man, you know, Captain Traore, you know, he was there, right? Yes. Did he ever go to the Indian masjids there? They said, no, we never saw him. This is what some of our brothers are reporting now about that. Without the proper knowledge to do so, you got to have the proper knowledge to make takfir. We have, because even if we find that he's not praying, we still need to understand why he's not praying before we can make takfir. Just because he doesn't pray is not by itself the issue of the making takfir, meaning the expediation. We cannot. See? Because we need to ascertain about him first. Even though he's the head of state, why doesn't he pray? If he turns around and say, well, yeah, you know, I pray sometimes, but you know, I got so many duties as a president, I'm lazy. Some of our ulama and fuqaha said this is still, you know, being a part of disbelief, and then we have others who said it's not. So we have that argument still going on today. But our position should be, without the knowledge, we should not make expedition of takfir against Captain Traore, that if he's praying or not praying, if he's a Muslim or not, because we don't have this. And we are in a tight spot as the Fulani brethren, because we have brothers who we know 222, 23, and 24. We know we got them because we have video and we have eyewitness account from our brothers. And we even have one, when I talk about this issue, one brother who was head of the militia who was interviewed by a Tuba group. See, and he talked about the issue of Moisi people killing them. And they formed their militias to combat the Moisi and the militias. So we have that evidence, that part, we have evidence, but we don't have the evidence against him per se. So we're in a bad position. Now, we as the Futafula community must be careful in another regard. Even if we find out he is behind the killings and massacres of our brothers and sisters, or he gave tacit authority for the military and the militias to go after the Futafula people, even if this is the case, we cannot support the Tuba against this man. We have a beef against him because we say he's not protecting Futafula community. Yes, we deal with him as Africans, as Muslims and Africans, and so forth and so on. We deal with him. But we don't go and support the Tuba. This is what has happened over centuries. We have brothers who, out of whatever loyalties in tribes and so forth and so on, and when the Tuba comes to offer, then we go and support the Tuba against him, and then the Tuba begins to defeat us as well. We know that in slavery time, we had many animists, we had rogue Muslims, we had many different Juju and Orissa and all kind of other religious factions helped the Tuba in slavery, and then they in turn were slaved and sent to the Americas. We know that. So in this case, we don't give the support to the Tuba. Okay, we don't. Or any group offering to assassinate him. None of us have the right, even if he's doing this, even if he's not praying, even if he's made some comments. If he's made comments of Ridda and Deen, again, the expedition from Islam, Islamic circles should go into this and render a decision. See, this is important. And we should not praise or ridicule him in public. We should not praise him, nor should we talk against him in public. We should not. We should take the middle road. Yes, we talk about, like I'm doing today, we talk about incidents, we talk about things that is heard, but we do not make the inference that he is behind this, or we don't have the evidence that shows that he is praying or he's not praying. We don't have any of this evidence, but we have things that suggest something's wrong. Like when the Saudis came over, the prince came over to offer his help with building all these masjids, because they heard there's many areas where they don't have masjids. There are other places the masters are totally in ruin. I mean, we have a lot of things like this. It's been said. He said no to that, and that gets you to wondering. Okay, we got our brother here. I'm not saying that we should not talk about it. Maybe we should. We need a delegation of tribal and traditional leaders, scholars, and others to make peace. Yes, that we always look for this avenue, our dear brother. We always. Unfortunately, in the Sahel region and West Africa, Islamic scholarship is always put to the side. This is because of the terror designations and because of the influence of the Tubab countries when they funnel the money and they go after learned people like myself in Islam, imams, scholars, intellectuals, and so forth and so on. They start to go after them. So we're out of the equation. We only have moderates and secularists who make decisions like this, and their decisions are not based on Islam. Their decisions are based on their pocketbook and their particular ethnic groups and how much money they can get from the West. See, so we have this issue at hand, and and we should. I've been saying in other previous talks about this situation that we should have our most learned men involved in the governments, but they won't have them because the Tubab has told them to keep them out of it. The only people that the Tubab want to see at the table are secularists and modernist Muslims who are marginal Muslims themselves. They want to see them at the table, but they don't want to see people like me or Sheikh Gumi there, or Sheikh Bala in Nigeria, or some other famous Fulani intellectuals. They don't want to see them at the table. They only want to see modern, quote unquote, and secularist type Muslims. So that's why we can't have peace. When we have been allowed to get in the fray, we got influences, then they stopped that. Look at Nigeria, where we had our famous Sheikh here, Sheikh Gumi, a famous Fulani scholar, and Mufti, himself, he went into the bush where a lot of the bandits and other criminal elements there to get them to stop. He got many of them to stop. He offered, and they respected him a lot. They heard what he had to say about this issue. Quickly, they stopped that. See, that's funny, isn't it? But this is what happens in the Sahel. Okay, our brothers. We got elements in there. Two of our backers are saying he is not Muslim because they oppose traditional Islam in Africa. Yeah. Now I want to make sure I read this and understand. Their two of our backers are saying he is not Muslim because they oppose traditional Islam in Africa. Okay, and these are the Salafis who are the Tubab even before. Now, I'm not sure if the Tubab supporting the groups. We know that the Tubab forces are promoting many of the rogue criminal elements. We hear that they send, their representatives undercover to give them weapons. We understand that part of it, but we have to understand something else about Islam. Any Muslim, I've said this many times, and you can't get anybody. Somebody show me in the Quran where Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has ordered us to use another governance, other side of Sharia law. You won't find it. Matter of fact, he says that those who offered it, he offered in Surah, again, Surah Ma'idah, where he talked about this. Okay, now I want to make sure now I got this all confused. Law of governance, I think it's Surah Ma'idah, where 44, 45, 46, 47, where he talks about the issue. If you want to govern by something else, you are a disbeliever, okay, and a corrupted person, and so forth and so on. We have that. There's no instances where, or even the Prophet ﷺ, that we use the laws of the Kafir as our ruling in the land. We're not to use that. See, but we have that today. And because we have the Mujahideen groups who are fighting to establish the law of Allah in the lands. We can argue that all day long about that. You heard me talk about this issue as well. and it's a touchy issue. But we should be, if we follow what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said, we follow what the Prophet ﷺ, they did not. We follow all the favorite generations, plus we follow some that are, somebody show me the Fulani sultanates who used democratic ways means none. They fought against it. You show me the Hausa, okay, and their kingdoms when they did not use that either. It's only in modern times because we were forced to because of that, and we have modernists who promote this. But in ancient times, from 711 to 1900, our brothers were governing by the Sharia law. There's no doubt about that. And of course, they got weak, and then they start to do other things, corruption, and so forth, and then they were overthrown. We know these incidents like this, so we have to be careful of that. And we have a brother here. Oh, walaikum salam, my dear brother. Thank you very much for showing up today. And our brother here says something here. I agree with it by rejecting 200 masters. Yes, that. I mean, even in the United States, okay, when I remember, back in 2005, I remember very well, the Saudis came and they started to give money especially to African Americans, and they gave money so they could start to build masjids. Nobody said no to this, okay? And the Saudis built in other areas across the country. They helped to build masjids inside the United States. Here, he told them no. He could have told, because Saudi Arabia have enough money, he said, hey, brother, please, give me 200 masters. I want this, or 1,000, whatever. Can you also build us some schools, especially in the rural areas? He wouldn't have said no to that, because you could have a school there in an Islamic center. You have Islamic center and a school right there. He could have done that, see? But he told no to the masters. He said the people can go to the master or they can pray anywhere. I have a problem with that. I have a problem. That also triggered something in me to tell me something's not right. But it's not enough for me to say he's a disbeliever or he made Ridda and Deen. I cannot say that. I tried to look for the tape where he said he's leaning towards Christianity. Now we have something, but I can never find it. See, I can never find that. Okay. So, brother, we talked about this issue now, and I gave you my evidence about this, and I say that we should exercise caution in regards to Captain Traore. None of us should go there and praise him. None of us. We should not condemn him either. We should not do that. We have many reports that you heard me say right now, but we should not act on them because we don't have the evidence. We have reports he doesn't pray. We have even Fulani. We have reputable Fulani brothers who live there or have lived there, and others who may report saying they never saw him even before he's president, even in any of the masjids. So, we have a lot of issues. You see what I mean, brothers and sisters? We have a lot of issues like this. So, but again, we don't have the evidence. We don't have evidence, so we should stay away from going after him until we get all the proof. But we do have enough evidence about Burkina Faso itself from 2022, 23, 24, that they did massacre Fulani people. And we can talk about that, which I did talk about just about a year ago. See, so we have that issue, and we do have that proof. But him itself, my advice to you is don't talk against him, don't praise him, don't talk against him, and stay neutral. Do like I'm doing today. You give the evidence about what you have, but you still refrain from making any other derogatory comments about him. See, you should stay away from that. But I don't want to see Fulani people either getting, like I have in Facebook, and giving praise to this man. I don't want to see that either. And I don't want to see any Fulani person back into Tubab who's trying to overthrow him and kill him. That is a no-no. As a Muslim, you cannot back the Kafir to go after another Muslim. I don't care if he's a president or not. So you cannot do that. That's the issue also. That's part of the expedition of Islam. We go to, that's Nawaqat al-Islam. I gave class about 2 years ago. There's 10 expeditions. You do these 10 things. You do one of these 10 things here, or 2 or 3 of them. You're out of even one of these expedient. There's 10 of them. You're out of Islam. You're out, finished. And one is supporting against the the kafir against the Muslims, or one Muslim is enough to remove you out. Of course, there's conditions. I won't get deep in that because I covered that area thoroughly for three or four discussions talking about this issue in particular. So that's my piece on this. Anybody's got any more questions, any more comments, please give that to me, because I'm closing here pretty soon here. I just want to make sure that I gave you some talk about this and get you to thinking, because he's in the news everywhere you turn. You see talking about Captain Traore. You see this. Now you see evidence about the U.S. military and their comments about him and so forth and so on. You don't back the disbelievers. I don't care if it's a black face that's talking from America or not, a black tuba. You don't support what they are saying or doing against him. You don't support that, because he's still a Muslim until we know otherwise. Until we get somebody in Burkina Faso from the Fuqaha Ulama or somebody give us that evidence to say that he's not praying or he's not doing this or he left the religion. Now we have something. But even if he did leave the religion, we're supposed to take action as Muslims, but we don't use the kafir to go after him. We don't support the Tubab against him. We cannot. See? So just be mindful of that. And we don't support him. I don't care how much money the Tubab organizations, governments give you, my brothers, among the Fulani community, and say, look, I'll give you X amount of thousands and thousands of dollars if you support us to go kill this man. Don't take it. You're not authorized to do such a thing. Even if he's killed Fulani people, we have remedies for this. We do not go to the disbelievers to assist disbelievers against the Muslims. This is a big no-no. Okay, we got here. We got our brother. Yeah, thank you, caution and knowledge. Yes, I respectfully disagree with you on a few lines, but such is life. Allah knows best. Yes, and it's true. He does know best, and and this is basically the point I'm making. As Fulani people, we're in between this. We have the Islamic part of this, okay? And then we have the Fulani part of this. And what weighs more is the Islamic part of this, because we have a Muslim. Even if he was not Muslim, we still have a code of conduct of Muslims. What we do against or talk about the kuffar, the disbelievers. So we have that element. I gave classes on this some years back, and so forth. I won't belabor that right here, right now, but we have to be very cautious about that and whatnot. That's why today, you see, I talked about, I gave you some evidence of things that has happened and so forth, caution to get you to think, but we're waiting for someone on the ground to give us the evidence and somebody reputable and stuff. I prefer that. I do not trust the Tubab organizations, even though they have reported the massacres in March of this year. I still don't trust them. See, I don't have the evidence from a rightful Muslim to give us evidence that it happened, that the massacre of Fulani people happened in March. We don't have that evidence. See, so we have to be very, very careful of that. And we should be, very, very cognizant of that, because, brothers and sisters, in a nutshell, we have to always, be very, very careful. Okay, we should be always very, very careful, and we do not support the Tubab and their governments against any African. We cannot do that, and we should not do that. I don't care if your pockets will be lined with money. You do not do this, because this is what they've done to us for centuries. We always have Africans assisting. This is why we're in trouble today. The Tubab controls us because those that are in power are in hands with them to control us, and that's why we have our problems today. And you know that, and so forth and so on. And this is something that we have to be always cognizant of and whatnot, and don't offer that. There's a lot of scholarship on this issue about Muslims supporting the disbelievers against the Muslims. This is a serious, serious issue. We also have the reports of the programs of what they call rendition, where they what they do to Muslims who they want to target to kill, and we have Muslims assisting them. All this, you got to be very careful of doing this. There's no justification for it. I don't care if it puts food on the table. The money that you took from the disbelievers to kill your brother is no good. Even if you put eggs and potatoes on the table and some chicken on the table, whatever the situation may be, it's no good. There's no barakah in it, because you went to a disbeliever to assist them against the believers. And the Prophet ﷺ was very adamant about this. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is very adamant about this as well. And that's what we follow. See, so we should be very, very, very careful of that. So we have any other comments or anything like this, please write your comments here, and before I get ready to go, because this is a short talk. It was a long talk today, but it was a short notice about this issue about Captain Traore, and I'm hoping that you guys got something out of this. Also, please, my brothers and sisters, visit some of my latest short videos where I've given these pictorials of our ancestral brothers and so forth and so on, the Fulani brothers, our ancestral brothers, and I've talked about the Messina, and I've talked about a lot of different issues, short videos, 30 seconds or so, 35 seconds, talking about this, venerating our great ancestral brothers. Please go back in YouTube or even Facebook and review some of those videos, because I wanted to give a positive look, because we don't have enough talking about our ancestors, our prior ancestors. We should go back to learn from our Muslim ancestors, because many of them had it right. Okay, they had, especially the herder and farmer conflicts, they had the right formula for that. Okay, and even the Messina had the right formula for this, to stop this issue. And of course, it got disbanded when the colonials took over, and that in itself is okay, let me see what we got here. We have we got I don't know who this brother is here. I try to get his. Okay, I'm trying. Okay, here we go. Okay. I don't know what you mean by this. I don't know what you mean by this, my brother, whoever wrote this. So again, as I said, please subscribe to my channels, brother, sisters. It doesn't cost you anything, even though they asked me to, to ask people for money. I will not do that, because I cannot ask you for money straight out like this, for my talks. Subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me, and I can live comfortably without charging you for listening to me. I consider it an honor for all of you who listen to me. That in itself is a payment that's greater than money. Even though I may have, I'm talking about some, we have needs. I'm not criticizing them, but I don't need that type of support from you guys right now. So please, thank you for, for your support. I should be having, I know I have more subscribers but my problems I had with the Western, especially with the United States, and my enemy have taken a lot of supporters away over years. And so this has been a very, very hot topic. And even in Ramadan, I had a serious issue where I'll tell you, I had to hacked accounts where they took money, and then they went and used my credit information and so forth and so on and whatnot. And we kind of traced it back. We know who's behind this and why they were doing it. So they're always constantly finding ways to attack me and whatnot. And this is just the part of life of being a devout Muslim. If I was secularist, they still may go after me because I'm a black man. But I still have these problems and so forth, so much that I have to accept. Well, brothers and sisters, if that's it, I think I'm gonna stop here because I got another about 15 minutes or so before the for Salat Maghrib and whatnot. And so I'm hoping that you enjoy this talk today. You guys review this, please spread the tape as well. And if there's any questions that you guys have about this, please get a hold of me and let me know and whatnot. And until the next time I'll talk about issue. And please go back to look at some of my short videos. I talk about the our ancient brothers, and I give pictorials and also with the Islamic recitations behind this. Please go and look that and support that. Look at those pictorials. And so they're only 20, some are 20, 30 seconds. That's all. It doesn't take a long time. And please go back to revisit that. And also some of my other tapes, please go and revisit those tapes as well. So with that said, brothers and sisters, I'll leave you here. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.